Welcome, ladies and gents. Chris Andre here. Let's talk boxing. A wonderful fight this weekend. We've got Sonny Edwards flying to the Desert Diamond Arena in Glensdale, Arizona to square up against Jesse Bam Rodriguez. The IBF and WBO flyweight titles will be on the line. If you like your boxing wizards, you've got to tune in. There will be trickery all round and I cannot wait for it. This should be superb. Before we get technical and make a prediction, let me just quickly say that I've been a big Sonny Edwards fan for a number of years. Many years ago, I saw him training way before he became a known figure, even amongst hardcore boxing fans. He was yet to be on the lips of hardcore boxing fans. And I came on this channel, the original subscribers. You guys know who you are. You'll remember that I came here and I said, Sonny Edwards is going to be a superstar. This is a guy who I've seen train today. He glides around the ring. His ability to change direction, his agility, it's something special. This is not a run-of-the-mill thing. The talent is off the hook. The reason I'm telling you that is because over the last few years, he's also spoken up on some very important topics, in my opinion. The world was thrown into disarray and he used his platform, his position of influence to get certain messages out. And I've got a lot of respect for him as a man as well as a fighter as a result of that. So the reason I'm telling you that is because when I'm judging a fight, you guys always know that I do my utmost to not display any sort of bias when I'm scoring a fight, when I'm judging a fight. But it's only fair that you guys know that I've been a fan of Sonny's for a very long time. How do I think this fight will go without letting that influence me in any way? Well, first and foremost, let's start off with Jesse Bam Rodriguez. He is a terrific fighter. There's a touch of Lomachenko about the way he operates in certain areas. But when that doesn't work for him, he can also adjust. And I'll tell you what it is that I mean by that. When you are an aggressive fighter, or you're seeking to hold the center ring, and you're looking to box with Bam, he's so good at using misdirection to step around you. He likes to step in with quite a deep jab and he lets go of work from there. But sometimes he'll get that foot off the floor as he throws the jab. And it looks like he's seeking to enter through the line. But instead, he takes a step on the outside of you and then he'll take a little pivot. And you'll see a lot of fighters who will then try to react to that. Now, bear in mind, he's a southpaw, right? So he'll land, you'll step around the orthodox fighter, for instance, and the orthodox fighter will notice it. And then he's trying to quickly get low or turn with him and adjust with him. And he might make another adjustment in between your adjustment. He's constantly changing the angles on you. He changes the distance of the step. He also changes the patterns of the step. Sometimes he'll pretend to step out, but actually pull back out. Other times he'll take the step, then a second step after he jabs again to widen the stance. Then from there, he'll pivot out. Other times he'll take a side step and pivot out and then take a side step again. He just changes things up to constantly move around you and switch things up. And he's looking to land hooks around the guard, often to the body. He's often throwing a lead backhand as well. Other times he'll step in behind that jab and work off of that. There's variety there. And it's beautiful to watch. It really is wonderful. When he dropped, was it Quadras? I think it was Quadras. He threw this jab and he's stepping around Quadras. He lands the jab. Quadras realizes it gets low, pivots with him, and he does nothing wrong in that moment, Quadras. He pivots in the right way by getting low, turning with him, and you just saw this beautiful little uppercut that just dropped him. It was just lovely. It's exquisite brutality, poetry in motion. However, there is a however. He is a lot better against fighters that come after him compared to fighters that he goes after. But there is also a flip side to that little coin, and we'll get to that in a moment. When he's going to come after you, he makes certain errors with his feet. And I've spoken about these types of footwork errors for years on this channel, not just with Bam. It's common with a lot of fighters. When he's going to move, for instance, to his own right, when you're getting a lateral mover against him and he's got to chase him, he'll often he'll hop that left foot closer to his right foot, and he's almost hopping after you. When you're going to move to the other side, to his own left, he starts to cross his feet as though he's running after you, walking after you. And I've been critical, like I said, of a lot of fighters that do this, even fighters that I praise in other areas of their game. Jared Anderson, Boots Ennis, George Kambosos. A lot of these guys have had issues with their footwork. The reason that this is a problem potentially for Bam is because Sonny Edwards is a guy who uses wonderful lateral movement. And before you're able to set your feet, he'll often throw a punch, and he'll throw the punch in a way which is designed to get you off balance. So it might be a check hook, for instance. If he's going to land a shot, he'll often roll under it where he's expecting you to counter, come up with another shot, then pivot out. He's always getting you to overreach and your feet can never set beneath you. And a lot of people will call these fighters feather-fisted, right? They're pillow-fisted. Why don't they just walk through them? Another guy who used to operate in a very different way to Sonny Edwards, but just to give you an example of guys that aren't considered punchers, but no one really just walked through them, or very rarely did it happen. Another one was someone like Paulie Malignaggi. He didn't have the type of lateral movement that Sonny Edwards has got, but he had a wonderful jab and he could throw it whilst on the move and he could vary it. He could throw it as a power jab. He could go upstairs, downstairs. He could double it up, triple it up. And so just when you're trying to move and your feet aren't right and he's popping you and he's knocking your head back and it's affecting your balance, you're then unable to catch up to him consistently. But in terms of that lateral movement, that could, in theory, cause Bam Rodriguez a lot of problems. Having said that, here's the flip side to that coin we mentioned earlier. I believe that Bam Rodriguez does know how to use his feet properly. The reason I don't think he does is because I think he finds it quicker to go after a guy, breaking the rules, so to speak, than if he was to move with the correct footwork. He'd rather run after you or hop after you than move correctly, because it just means he closes that range a lot more quickly. And you saw how quickly he was closing the range against Christian Gonzalez at times in his last fight. Now, he is made to punish. He's made to pay the price for that. He's punished for it. He got his jaw broken in his last fight. He was getting caught on his entry point. And that's going to be a key area as to what decides this fight. Who is winning the fight when Rodriguez is being forced to enter, or when Sonny is being forced to enter? Now, I don't necessarily think Sonny will enter, because Sonny will poke jabs and pull out. He'll poke jabs. Doesn't necessarily have the same type of philosophy as Rodriguez, who's looking to go after you if he can't get to you. He's looking to constantly change angles. But if he's getting timed on his entry, and Jesse has some really nice timing, he'll often throw a lead jab over the top of your jab, and he'll land quite a solid shot with it, and he can work from there as well. If Sonny's losing that, and if Sonny's moving on the back foot and he can't stay away from Rodriguez and he's getting caught, or he's being made to work far too hard, that could be a real problem for Sonny Edwards, because there have been times in the fight where he gets tired. And I've spoken in the past on a video about Sonny's willingness to engage in a rope-a-dope. And in that particular fight where I made that comparison to the Ali rope-a-dope, you saw that there were moments where he was willing to do that to take breaks in certain rounds. So Sonny knows, and he's spoken about this openly, I need to win 7 clear rounds, and the rest of them I've got to ensure that I don't take damage. If I do that, I win the fight. Now, that's a risky sort of line to walk when you're going over to Arizona. But even if he goes and wins 8 rounds clearly, 9 rounds clearly, his high energy output style can mean that he can go and take breaks for 3 rounds and recharge his battery so he can get on the move again. The problem that he has is that if he holds his feet too long against Rodriguez, who is able to get angles and start ripping shots, he could potentially be in a world of danger. He could accrue damage. The thing is, Sonny's a tough kid though. And one of the things I've noticed about Rodriguez is that when he does get a fighter up against the ropes, I don't think he finds angles in the same way as when they're in the center of the ring. And another guy that applies to is actually Alexander Usyk. And I've spoken about this in the past when he was fighting Tony Bellew. So he wants some spacing around you. And when you take that away from Jesse, I feel like when he enters sometimes and lands his own shots, as he's entering, he's there to be hit in return. And in addition to being hit in return, as he's about to enter, you can also time him just before he lets go of his shot. So you can land something on his entry and then immediately after he's thrown his shot. So the question mark is, can Sonny, how successful will Sonny be when he decides I've got to back onto the ropes and take a little break here? Are you going to see Jesse showing angles and Sonny's going to be trying to roll with shots? Because one of the things that Sonny does have a problem with when he's rolling with the shots, in my opinion, is that his left arm, underneath the left arm, underneath the elbow, you can find a home for it. He gets caught quite consistently there. He catches a lot of shots with one hand, but with the other hand, you do see a bit of a gap underneath the elbow. And Rodriguez puts his hand together so well with combinations. So all these little areas of battle, the entry point of each guy, what happens when Sonny wants a break, all these little things can play a major role. Another thing that Sonny does that I've never liked, and I've spoken about this in the past, and remember, I'm a huge fan, but that doesn't mean you're beyond errors, right? Or beyond things that I personally don't like. The other thing is that sometimes when he's on the move, and I often think this about showboating, he stops and plants his feet and he gets square on and he puts his hands out sometimes and he's waiting for you to make a move. And then he's just trying to catch you with a little slapping hook as you enter the pocket. In those moments, Sonny can often be the one to miss. You can use feints, you can change the level before you enter. And often he'll get caught with a jab or a backhand and he's trying to throw a hook that the other guy might actually duck under. And Sonny, you can tell by looking at him, he feels like he's in control. But when you're talking about scoring a round and you're counting the punches, you're not exactly the aggressive puncher here. You can't be affording to be in a position where you're getting outlanded in periods. So he's going to have to be on the move consistently. That's not an easy thing to do against Rodriguez when you're going to want to take time out and you're back on the ropes. Are you going to be able to be in control enough so that you don't accrue enough damage? Even if you are blocking shots, how is that going to translate in front of a crowd in Arizona, which is going to be very pro-Rodriguez? You're going to be letting go of these combinations. You'll be catching a lot of the shots perhaps, but the crowd's going to be roaring. Are they going to be giving you, the judges in that atmosphere, that bear pit atmosphere, the benefit of the doubt that you're catching these shots? Are we going to see some controversy here where Sonny Edwards is actually outlanding Bam Rodriguez, and in the end, Rodriguez is going to get the decision, and you'll have people justifying it saying, well, Sonny was pillow-fisted, right? He wasn't landing the hard shots. It was Rodriguez. That's why I always say, as long as the shots are clean and flush, it doesn't matter who you perceive to be the harder puncher. If he's not having an effect on him, it's different. If he hurts him or he's snapping his head back and he's making him wobble, even if he's landing the fewer punches, you might give him the round. But if you just assume he's landing the bigger shots that are having an effect, but there's no visible effect, then I would always score it to the guy who's outlanding the other one. Do you see what I'm saying? The point I'm making here is that this could actually divide opinion, this fight. But for Edwards to win, he has to be able to win on his entry and Bam's entry. If he's losing those two dynamics, he's going to get caught up with getting cut down basically and put on the ropes. And if he is, even if he's really smart there and winning some of those exchanges, unless they're really eye-catching moments, I can't see the judges giving him those exchanges either. So he's going to have to fight a fight where he's pretty dominant for many of the rounds. For many of the rounds, at least 8 of them really, they're going to have to be won pretty clearly by Sonny Edwards. And in order to win them clearly, you have to be able to dictate the tempo. You can't just rely on having your back on the ropes when you're tired and exchanging with a guy who wants to get you there. That's his aim. I want to pin Sonny down to let go of these dangerous combinations. By the same token, you can't just rely on getting him to reset constantly to control the tempo, because he is willing to make those errors, eat those shots, turn and come straight at you quickly with quick feet. And he's going to try and tire you and catch you down the stretch. So I hope that Sonny's been working a lot on his clinch game. And listen, I'm not here supporting the excessive clinching, but some clinching is always going to happen in a fight. It's part of the fight game. It's just a reality. And at the end of the day, it's the job of the referee and the corner of the opposing team to bring awareness to it. The fighter's going to do what the fighter's going to do. I've been critical of the excessive clinching of Devin Haney, but my criticism goes towards the referees. It doesn't go towards Devin himself. Devin's got to do what he's got to do to win the fight, right? That's just the reality of the fight game, guys. So Sonny has to, in my opinion, switch up, knowing when to tie up Bam Rodriguez, when to fight off the ropes, when to move. You don't want to be avoiding, being afraid to trade. And he wasn't against, say, Mitolani. There were pockets where he was punching against this guy who's known as a puncher. But the majority of the fight was not fought in that region. The majority of the fight was fought under Sonny Edwards' terms, and he's going to have to be able to do that here as well. I think that Sonny Edwards is going to be frustrating him quite a bit. And I think that Rodriguez's best bet would be to wait on Sonny. Don't lead off too much. I was talking to D-Style today on the live, and he was basically saying how he felt that Bam Rodriguez was going to use a Canelo approach against Billy Joe Saunders and not chase him and cut the ring off on him, but wait for him, seek to counter him. If that's the case, that's what I'm talking about when I'm talking about the entry is very important. If Sonny's able to jab him and pull away and Bam can't do that, he can't time him, he can't land on him, he can't be hurting him, well then Jesse's going to have to try and hunt him down. If he doesn't know and he's timing him, again, Sonny's in trouble. But early on, I would suspect that Bam might indeed be trying to do that. Just trying to see what Sonny's all about, trying to lure him onto him, getting him out of his comfort zone. Because for Sonny Edwards to win this fight, plan A has to work, in my humble opinion. The thing is, he's so good at plan A. And with the way Rodriguez moves and that question mark about that jaw, he had his jaw shut, wired shut. And although he won the last fight, you start breaking that jaw again and again, and you're struggling to breathe as you're chasing after a guy and he's targeting it and he's making you look silly, you can start to have doubts being part of your mind, cast in your mind. So how do I think this fight will go? I think at the end of the fight, the Sonny Edwards fans will probably think he won the fight. I'm not sure they're going to give it to him in Arizona for the reasons I've given you. That's a different matter though. In other words, I think I'll be coming here and telling you there was some wonderful work from Rodriguez, but Sonny won that fight. And I'm sure a lot of you are going to be in the comment section down below going to me, nah, Chris, man, did you see how hard Bam Rodriguez's punches were? Those little flicking type shots of Sonny Edwards, they're not scoring shots and stuff like that. I think it's going to be controversial. I think it's probably going to go the distance. And yeah, I think probably Jesse Rodriguez will be given it by the judges, but that we will feel here, or I will feel here, that Sonny Edwards did enough to win the fight. And if that's not the case, let me just remind you of my Kambosos Maxi Hughes take. Kambosos got the decision. I came out here, a guy that I tipped to get to the top when he was a nobody, did a prospect watch video on him, and I said he could become a world-class fighter. And I came out here and I said, pre-fight, he was all wrong for Kambosos stylistically. There's a reason he hadn't been fighting southpaws. This could be a real problem for him. And post-fight, I came here and I said, Maxi Hughes won that fight. So just bear that in mind, because I don't want to be accused of bias later on. But that's my prediction. Jesse Rodriguez possibly by controversial points decision, but I feel that in reality, if the all is fair, that will be Sonny Edwards that gets it on the decision on the cards. Let me know what you think, ladies and gents. Don't forget to hit a stiff jab on the like button, a right cross on the subscribe button, and an uppercut on the notifications button. Chat to you soon. Take care. God bless.